Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. So if your Amana stove is throwing an F1E0 error code and shutting down on you, don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. Good news is, most of these codes come down to three main culprits, and you can probably handle the repair yourself. Just remember, safety first. Always disconnect power at the circuit breaker before doing any diagnostic work on your stove. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group. Links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. So the biggest culprit I see with F1E0 codes is a fried electronic control board. This thing is basically the brain of your stove, and when it goes bad, you'll know it. The error code sticks around even after you reset the power. Your oven becomes totally unresponsive, and sometimes the clock display goes completely dark. I had this customer last month whose board got zapped during a thunderstorm. Classic power surge damage. Here's how you'll know it's the control board. With power on, try the diagnostic test by pressing cancel again, then start, all within 5 seconds. If you get that F1 error during diagnostics, it's definitely pointing to a bad main control board. Now here's the thing. Before you assume the board is toast, disconnect power to the stove for about 10 minutes. Turn off the circuit breaker or unplug it completely. Sometimes these boards just need a good reset to clear out temporary glitches. If the error comes right back after power restoration, then yeah, you're probably looking at replacing that control board. Another common cause is a defective temperature sensor. This little guy measures your oven's internal temperature and sends that info to the control board. When it starts sending wonky readings, the control board freaks out and throws the F1E0 code. You'll spot this problem when the sensor looks physically damaged. Maybe the wires are frayed, there's corrosion on the connections, or the sensor probe itself looks beat up. Here's how to test it properly. Grab your multimeter and check the sensor's resistance. At room temperature, exactly 75 degrees Fahrenheit, you should see about 1,100 ohms on your multimeter. Some models read closer to 1,080 ohms, but anything between 1,050 and 1,150 ohms is acceptable. If you're getting readings way off from that range, or if the sensor looks visibly damaged, it needs replacement. Don't ask me how I know this, but F2 and F3 codes are also tied to this same sensor, so replacing it often fixes multiple error codes at once. The third thing to check is your wiring connections and power supply problems. Sometimes loose connections between the control board and temperature sensor cause communication failures that trigger F1E0 codes. I've also seen temporary power supply glitches cause these errors to pop up randomly. Here's your diagnostic approach. First, try a complete power reset. Turn off the circuit breaker labeled for your stove, wait exactly 10 minutes, then turn it back on. If your stove is plugged in instead of hardwired, you can unplug it for 10 minutes instead. If it does and stays gone, you probably just had a temporary electrical hiccup. If the code comes back, it's time to inspect the wiring. You'll need to access the back panel of your stove and look at that wiring harness connecting the control board to the temperature sensor. Look for any loose plugs, damaged wire insulation, or corrosion at the connection points. If you find loose connections, secure them properly. If you see damaged wires, they'll need to be replaced or spliced back together with proper electrical connections. All right, so the F1E0 code on Amana stoves typically points to control system problems. I'm going to walk you through the three most likely causes, starting with the simplest reset tricks and working up to the parts that might need replacing. Here's what we're dealing with: control board failures, faulty temperature sensors, and wiring issues. Let's dive in. The electronic control board is going to be your biggest expense if that's what needs replacing. You're looking at anywhere from about $112 up to $378 for a new OEM board, depending on your specific model. Here's something most people don't know. These boards can often be repaired by specialists for around 150 to 200 bucks, which is way cheaper than replacement. The repair difficulty is moderate, about a 3 out of 5, and typically takes 45 minutes to an hour. You'll need some disassembly experience to access the control panel safely, plus basic tools like a screwdriver set. It's typically mounted behind the control panel at the top of your range. Before you buy a new board, check if yours might be repairable. I've seen plenty of boards that just needed a few components replaced rather than the whole thing. The temperature sensor is much more affordable. You're looking at about 76 bucks for part number WPW10181986. This is definitely a DIY friendly repair, maybe a 2 out of 5 difficulty level. The sensor is located inside your oven cavity, usually mounted on the rear wall. You can find these at most appliance parts dealers, and installation is pretty straightforward. Just disconnect the old one and plug in the new sensor. Unlike control boards, these sensors aren't really repairable, so replacement is your only option when they go bad. The keypad or touchpad can also cause F1E0 codes when it shorts out or gets damaged. The cost here varies quite a bit. Sometimes it's just a matter of cleaning the ribbon cable contacts. Other times you need to replace the whole control panel assembly. The difficulty is around a 3 out of 5 since you'll need to carefully disassemble the front panel. Here's a quick test. If disconnecting the flat ribbon connector from the touchpad to the control board makes the F1 error disappear, you know the touchpad is your problem, not the main control board. You can see right there on your screen some of the most common Amana models that run into these F1E0 issues. Take a look. You might even spot your own model number up there. I've worked on plenty of these units over the years, and the repair approach is pretty consistent across the different model lines. That's how you tackle the Amana F1E0 error code. Here's your action plan. Step 1, power reset for 10 minutes. Step 2, test the temperature sensor resistance. Step 3, check all wiring connections. Step 4, replace the faulty component. Most of the time, it's going to be either a sensor that needs replacing for about 76 bucks or a control board issue that might be repairable for under 200. Way better than buying a whole new range for 1500 or more. If you guys know someone who's having appliance troubles, please send them the link to this video or a link to my channel where I have tons of other videos showing how to fix pretty common issues with appliances, sometimes for free or as little cost as possible. It sure beats having a repairman come out and spending several hundred for them to fix it when it could be something so simple. If this helped you get your Amana stove working again, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know which fix worked for you. Really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.